To start things off, we've got spoilers for this, and I guess maybe this one too here. So if you don't want those spoiled, then
go home.
Negative space is a strange topic for games because I think there are so many different avenues to explore it. I think the most recognizable use of negative space would be drawing around the object.
Remember, we're not drawing the object. We're drawing the negative space around the object.
This is something that the game Limbo utilizes, where the playable character is silhouetted against the more detailed background. The way you determine where your character is by seeing where the background is not. It's also something the Unfinished Swan used throughout the game, where areas remain purely white until you mark them in black. They're not defined by the space around the paint, rather than not at all. But the concepts of negative space I find more interesting are the ones beyond what we physically see, or rather don't see. It's a Japanese concept of ma, which I first learned about in relation to Japanese music, where the rests are thought of as equally important to the notes surrounding it. This idea of what's intentionally not present being just as significant as what is a concept that carries over to other aspects of Japanese culture and media. It's something seen in animation like Neon Genesis Evangelion, where multiple scenes halt any sort of animation and a single frame is held for an extended period. It's moments like these that cut off any feed of new information, in this case animation and dialogue, in favor of a period of reflection. Evangelion has multiple scenes like this that will hold static frames for over a minute. And it's in this blankness that a mental interaction with the media is found. For me, these long pauses establish a connection between myself and the scene because there's nothing new to take in. You're left with what you know prior to this event and how that has led to this scene. So what about games? Games are founded upon an interactive nature, so what instances are there where games employ interaction that isn't necessarily caused by a button press? The easiest comparison to what I've already mentioned here would be part of the ending to Metal Gear Solid 3. After beating the boss, your mentor, who had always proved better than you, the game holds still.
There's only room for one boss and one snake.
It's a moment that doesn't explicitly tell the player to do anything, and why should you, since the rest of the game's cutscenes remain relatively free of interaction save for some alternating first-person camera angles. And like Evangelion, the lack of information and continuation of any sort of action create a gravity not previously felt in the scene, further opening us up to the conflict these characters are experiencing. Highlighting this standstill helps further define that mental interaction by opening up the player to an easier path towards empathy and understanding. The lack of intaking more information allows for an easier reflection on past details.
Why'd you come back?
And in these cases, remembering the moments between the characters and how they relate to and impact the present. A moment to stand still in their shoes.
What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me? Your country or your old mentor? The mission or your beliefs? Your duty to your unit or your personal feelings?
And beyond that, it's pretty evident that Metal Gear Solid's director, Hideo Kojima, thinks of the time that you don't play the game almost as important as the time spent actually playing, due to the numerous cutscenes that can fill full television slots. But a lot of games seem reluctant to embrace an absence of action. Most games these days force animations onto the characters if the player doesn't move for a certain set of time, a reminder that you're actually there. Not that I'm against steady action, but there's so much to gain from focusing on the moments between the beats. And I don't mean downtime between action, but there's plenty of that in Snake Eater too. Downtime is sort of like bookends, used to further emphasize and highlight the action in between, whatever that action may be. It can be used to keep pacing intact so the experience isn't exhausting, a whole mess of uses. Rather, absent moments such as this one call back to the other memories and experiences of the game. It changes the narrative impact of those past moments in this reflective culmination. It's a scene that invites the player to get mentally and emotionally involved, instead of essentially ordering them to. And the extreme latter of that was the press X to pay respect debacle from last year's Call of Duty. It makes the narrative feel more interested in how you feel about it, since it's trusting you to be invested here, putting faith in your own capabilities for empathy, your own ability to understand. And I think the seldom use of these moments plays a part in games having a general lack of empathy towards not only characters, but actual players in games. We lack an ample chance to reflect and understand our actions.
Why are you giving me this?
Jack.
And what can make these static moments resonate so well in games is that we, the player, can determine when they end. We make the choice to bring ourselves out of this moment. We can determine how long that rest is, adding a more physical interaction to the equation that was previously fully mental. So present more opportunities to reflect. Let us appreciate characters in moments like these through a deeper understanding of their emotions, and transitively our own. When looking for ways to capture a moment, explain characters' inner thoughts, maybe the best thing to do is nothing at all.